Hello riders, it's Josh from CycleHunters.com. Today we are looking at a very special bike in my opinion. This is a 2006 Honda CBR 1000 RR. Conceived in 2004, the Honda CBR 1000 was derived from the Honda RC211V MotoGP purpose-built prototype racing bike. And at that time, in 04, Honda did, well, that was their first version, but at that time, prior to that, there was no real 1000cc superbike because everybody was sort of transitioning from the 750 class to the 1000 class. There was the 954 out at the time, but not a true 1000. When Honda developed the Honda RC211V for MotoGP racing, there was one person that rode it to its inaugural championship, and that is Valentino Rossi, the Doctor, number 46. As you can see on this bike, this has those stickers. The only reason why I left them on there is because of the fact that Rossi did ride an RC211V, and this is kind of the Rossi colors, and it just makes sense. It looks good. If you don't want them, we can take them off for you, but I'm just going to tell you, I think they look cool on this bike. But getting into this is a bit of a survivor because of the fact that it is an 06. It's an older bike. But this is one of the last of the gunfighters in a sense where there is no electronic wizardry on this bike. This is analog. This is a bike that you jump on it, thumb the starter, get going. It's fuel injected, of course, but nothing with the traction control and the launch control and all the other controls. That's your right wrist is control. See some blemishes right here, little chips. There are some things on this bike. It's an 06, it's a used bike. With used bikes, you're going to have some of these things. Little spots here and there. Some chipping on the wheel a little bit. Otherwise, looking pretty clean. But you can see some here. For this year, it looks really great. And this model is such a cool bike to have. If you've ever ridden one, you know what I'm talking about. Sport bikes, especially the Superbike class, are not typically comfortable bikes to be riding. Honda is well known for making great street bikes. This is one of them. And this was basically their second iteration of the RC211V inspired Honda CBR 1000 RR. The first generation had a little bit of a different look to it in the front. Not much. You can kind of tell right here. This little cutout spot was added later, and the original versions don't have that. This has the electronic steering head damper, which is kind of cool because it stiffens up as you get going. It keeps it from shaking that head all over the place. Now this bike, you know, it's not stock. It has the Pazzo levers. It has the Motion Pro throttle. It does have the aftermarket turn signals and bracket. My favorite pipe, the Akrapovic, which you're going to hear that in a little bit. Sounds awesome. This also has the Vortex quick cap. So, you know, you just pop this thing off real fast and you can fuel up. You know, if you really got to see it, here we go. Open her up, ba-bam. Put it back on like that. Lock her down. You're good to go. Rear sets are changed. Some little tidbits of nice things that are added to this bike. But again, it's a bike that's been ridden. It's a Honda too, so extremely reliable. So that you do get all these years of enjoyment and riding out of it. Now this is in that beautiful blue and yellow livery. Some call it the Wolverine edition. I can see why. But whatever you call it, it's a cool bike. Just looking here. Good meat on the tread. I mean, these are basically brand new. Has the rear cowl, little mount for your GoPro. But overall, you know, again, these are the blemishes that we're looking. You can kind of see some in the screen. Not a ton. But for a bike that's, you know, basically a second generation, I would think, Superbike, it's in really nice shape. A little bit right here. A little bit right there. Other than that, it's kind of it. Doesn't look like it's been dropped or any of that stuff. You know, you're always going to have some stuff from when you're kicking your legs over. Some scratches here and there. It's to be expected with these used bikes. But when we go through them, as I've said in many, many videos, as you guys know, we do a 48-point checklist on these bikes to ensure that when you get it, it's as close as we can make it to new. So here, controls. High beam, low beam up top, turn signals left and right, and your horn. On off, your starter, and that's it. This bike's got 39,902 miles. So for being a Honda though, probably not really a lot, because Hondas are pretty much bulletproof, reliable bikes. But you can see as far as the tack is centrally located, your digital speedometer, temperature gauge, time for your clock. You have your little oil gauge over here, as well as your engine check, your high beam, low beam indicator, and your turn signals left and right. And then also a low fuel light on the left there next to the neutral. You can also toggle through your settings for your range, and you can cancel this stuff just by hitting the other one, holding it down. Same thing with this one, and they're both now reset. So again, pretty simple stuff. Now, for the coolest part, is firing this baby up. You know what? I thought about it for high beam. Does high beam, low beam work on it? Yeah. So this is high beam. Both lights are turned on. Low, the right front turns off. Turn signals is, that's your left front. This is going to be left rear. And you just do it like any bike. Right rear and then right front. Then you also see it has the little driving light up top here. We'll do cancel, and let's fire this baby up. We are in neutral. Undertail exhaust. This thing's gonna sound awesome. Oh yeah. Sometimes when you fire up a bike, you can just tell. This one sounds angry. She is angry. Let's hear how angry. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's not as harsh for the rev like some of them are. This is more of a deep guttural. See, you can kind of hear that. It's tough to hear these things on a phone, and it really doesn't do it justice. But this bike does sound pretty daggone mean. When you get that going up the street and you crack that throttle, give it a little bit of the goose there, it's going to sound awesome. There's no doubt that that's going to sound great. Very, very focused sounding bike. These are built as track weapons, you know. I mean, they're homologated so that they can race them. I think they have to build 500 a year per manufacturer for whatever bike that they're going to race. Homologation rules state that you have to build so many. I believe 500 is the number, and then you can race the bike, and it's obviously not going to be raced in a stock form. They always take them and, you know, remove obviously the body panels and the turn signals, lights, and mirrors. Probably put on some suspension, definitely brakes, you know, even the chain. Those types of things get switched out. Swing arms do. There's a lot of things when it comes to the race bikes. It just depends. Like super stock, that's probably more like what you're looking at. When it's the actual super bike, well, although they're not prototypes, obviously that's a MotoGP bike, but these factory race bikes that you get, you know, from Honda or Ducati or any of the companies that are out there in the World Superbike Series or any of those high upper class Superbike Series. There's a little bit more purpose-built stuff, I think, on some of those than just stock parts. So anyway, you've seen all of the components. Everything on these are very analog. This is that era. If you want something that is going to be of this era, this is a really nice bike. Again, it's not perfect. It's a used bike. And most of these at this stage are going to be in somewhat of condition like this. Some better, obviously some a lot worse. But this one is really cool. It's got that yellow and blue that really just sticks out and pops. Gorgeous. So every one of our bikes gets a 48-point checklist. I know I've mentioned this many, many times in the videos because we try to make sure that anytime you get a bike from CycleHunters.com is as close as we can make it to a newer bike. So oil and filter, that's basic stuff. We're checking the charging system. You know, we go so far as to check the steering head bearing. Anything that we can do to make sure that when you get a bike from CycleHunters.com, it's as close as we can make it to what it was when it was new. This isn't going to be new. None of them really are, except some are really close with, you know, less than 1,000 miles. But this one's obviously a little under 40. It's been ridden well. It's been well taken care of for that kind of mileage. It's a beautiful bike. It rides great. It is a fun, fun bike. If you've ever ridden these, you know that the smile factor is pretty stinking huge. So, if you are digging the 2006 Honda CBR 1000 RR race RC211V inspired design, give us a call at 717-273-1809. Now you can see the full list of our current inventory at www.cyclehunters.com. You can email us at cyclehunters@gmail.com. We do have some options for financing, delivery as well. We can do that if you're somewhat close by. Also, we can ship bikes. We do that quite often, but bottom line is that when you get a bike from us, we try to put its best foot forward. We want you to be happy and enjoy it. So whatever it is that we need to do to ensure your enjoyment, your satisfaction, to have something like that in the garage looking at you when you go to work or whatever it is that you're going to go do to go ride, probably look for excuses to go ride. I would. You know, it's a beautiful bike. Well, you know how it is, my friends. Riders, thank you so much. Like and subscribe. We really do appreciate all the support, the comments. Get ready because we're going to be uploading some new stuff, new content coming up here soon on these bikes with these fairing kits. It's going to be pretty cool. Got one right here to unbox. So that's coming up soon. But until the next bike, happy riding.